Hi guys, welcome to our new studio. I hope you like it. So we're going to be making a lot more of our YouTube videos from this space, but I will also be making videos from the usual places that you are used to seeing us making our various YouTube videos. Hope you like this. We thought it'd be a really nice space to start to make much more clearer, much more exciting, much more vivid videos for you guys to enjoy, okay? But today I'd love to speak to you about something really important, which is the subject of money habits, okay? So I'm going to share with you 8 money habits you should be looking to break today. And it's even more important as we approach the end of the year, and a lot of you guys will be thinking about the new year and thinking about New Year resolutions, and it's even bigger this time around because it's a new decade around the corner, okay? So money will become subject of most people's conversations around this time of year as we all take stock of how the year has gone, okay? So my name is Ken of the Humble Penny and Financial Joy Academy. What we do on this channel is to give you the tips, the insights, the practical hacks to help you work towards a dream life of financial independence and money joy. Now, I don't know about you, but habits I've found to be a really challenging thing in my life. And so with a lot of these ideas, a lot of these money habits, they're things that I've experienced like so many times. And I've found that the thing about habits is, it's one thing actually knowing you've got a bad habit. It's another thing knowing you've got a bad habit, but not doing something about it. And then it's a third thing knowing you've got a bad habit and then taking the steps to actually do something about it. Okay, so I'm going to share these ideas, some of which, honestly, when I think about them, I just think to myself, oh my God, I remember when I used to suffer a lot from this very bad habit. Okay, so the first one I'd mention is the bad habit of procrastination. That's number one. You know the feeling, right? You know you've got something to do, you've got to focus on a piece of work, you've got to deliver something that's life-changing for you potentially, you've got to actually get out there and maybe start that business you've been talking about for a long time, right? But somehow you push that to the side and you're focusing on things that just don't matter at all, like washing the dishes. Okay, dishes matter. But, you know, just silly things like, oh, I've got to call my friend, or I've got to go and return that piece of, clothing that I bought that I shouldn't have bought, right? So you find all these things that means that you are essentially running away from the central task that you need to get done. I know this myself. This studio you're looking at right now, right? I started this studio, kind of renovating it with Mary and the kids, back in, I believe, January 2019. And I'm filming this in December 2019, and we've only just finished it. And that's because I'll say to myself, I've been making YouTube videos, I've been working hard, and those are all valid things, but it's meant that I've kind of just pushed this to the side and haven't done it. So procrastination, in the same way, applies to our finances. We all know that we should be budgeting, for example, but somehow we find other things that occupy our time and we just procrastinate. A lot of us want to make money from other sources. We know that we've been watching YouTube videos and doing things that have shown us the way in which we can go about doing it, but we just procrastinate and just don't do it. My top tip in this area is to start your day with the DB3. This is not a model of an Aston Martin, by the way. A DB3 stands for a daily big 3. This helps me every single day. I simply take my phone out, and in here I've got an app, one of the notes apps, and I simply just write in there my daily big 3 things that I'd love to achieve. And so those remain my focus for the entire day, and I use them to achieve my goals time and time again. So a good example of that is, for example, delivering these YouTube videos to you guys on a consistent basis. Number 2 is the habit of laziness. Now, I'm going to read you a proverb, right? Because I read proverbs, about 31 proverbs, and I read these proverbs because they are, like, the stuff in these proverbs are life-changing if you spend some time reading them. Here's one that applies to laziness. And when I read this, it just wakes me up as quickly as possible. Listen to this, right? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come to you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man, right? That just screams laziness is possibly the least attractive feature of any man or woman. Okay, I'm being a bit extreme here, but if you want to make yourself more attractive to the opposite sex, right, Do not come across lazy, because laziness is a really, really bad thing. And it's one of the major things that actually holds us back from achieving a lot of our life goals. And I've noticed myself, I'll give you a really practical example. When I was at university, I didn't really think I was particularly smart, but I had one key advantage that most people did not have. And that advantage I had meant that I ended up in my entire cohort at university right at the very top when I finished my degree, a really high first-class degree. But I started off really lacking in confidence, okay? But I just held it back, and I had one strategy, which is key for laziness, right? That strategy is the strategy of waking up early. Like, you might not believe this is so effective, but for me, at university, I woke up at 4:30 a.m. most mornings. It meant that I was always ahead of most people. Now, how does that relate to laziness and to your money, potentially? Well, waking up early means that you essentially have more time to yourself. And when you have more time to yourself, you find things to dedicate your time to. And with everybody sleeping at that time of the morning, you find yourself doing those things that you've always wanted to do, okay? A lot of you watching this might want to start a side hustle, for example, okay? This is the way you get it done. I kid you not. Like, I'm at home making these videos now, and I've become so accustomed to waking up early in the morning as my strategy for getting things done. And that beats laziness time and time again. Number 3 is the habit of coasting along. Have you ever met anyone and asked them, hey, how's it going? How's life? And they just go, oh yeah, it's ticking along, things are ticking along. What you find with most people is that most people actually have no clue where they are trying to get to in life. They're just ticking along and dancing along to the rhythm of life, okay? Which, it's fine, people live for the day, but what you find is that there's a very direct correlation between having goals on one hand and increasing your bank balance, okay? If you want to test me on this, set yourself some very specific goals. Call them SMART goals if you want, okay? Some very specific and clear goals, okay? And track those goals and put the time into achieving them, and track your bank balance over a period of time and see what happens. There's a very direct link between those, okay? So what you find is that people who coast along remain without money a lot of the time. They're just ticking along, and while coasting, they are spending and doing what everybody else does. But the people who choose not to coast along, but instead who choose to set goals in their lives, are the people who see their bank balances increasing over time. So if you want to have a completely different life in the very near future, in the new year or whatever, the thing to be doing right now is to be setting yourself some very specific goals. But not just setting the goals, but asking yourself, what is a trade-off I need to make in order for me to achieve those goals? I.e., what will it cost me to be able to achieve those goals? Because then you have a real balance in your analysis of what your goal setting is about. I'll put a link below and above to a video I made recently on 10 mindset shifts that changed my life. Check that out and watch it, because I really go deep on these various subjects around mindset and goal setting specifically. Next is the habit of addiction to social media. Now, this is one that pretty much everyone can relate to. Even I can relate to this as somebody who produces content and somebody who has to use social media as a way to engage with people online. But the thing you find with social media is that you might not think, you'd be thinking, Ken, how does me using social media relate to my money life? Well, of course it's related, because the time you're spending on social media has a very direct opportunity cost, because that's the time, again, this is tied procrastination, that's the time that you should be using to make things happen in your own life, okay? There's no doubt that you've got things that you've been saying to yourself that you need to do. You need to tick off the list, you need to sort your admin out, you need to do that piece of research into that idea you've been talking about. All these things are left unachieved the more you put your free time into spending time on social media. Now, I'm not saying don't spend any time on social media, because that's unreasonable. But what I'd say is consider spending time on social media more systematically. So, for example, I'm going to use social media not first thing in the morning, but I'm going to aim to use it at 12 noon and maybe at 6 p.m. Okay, I'm talking as a consumer of social media now. Okay, this is possibly a way to kind of win back more of your time and then direct some of that time into achieving some of the things you've set out to achieve in the year that you might not have achieved so far. Number 5 is the habit of spending more money than you are making. So in everyday language, we refer to this as being broke. But the truth is, it's not just about being broke, it's about being poor, okay? If you're spending more money than you are making, even if it's for 1 month, even if it's for 2 months or whatever, you are effectively living a very poor life, okay? I know that's a very hard thing to say, but it's the reality of it, okay? And the number one reason why most people remain poor, i.e. spend more money than they're making, is due to their inability to manage cash flow, so the money that flows into their lives and then flows out of their lives. The inability to manage those two key activities. And one of the major reasons for that is because of the introduction of easily accessible debt. So a pro tip for getting rid of this habit in your life is to basically break up with your credit card. It's not real love that you have with your credit card. The thing to do is to remove or reject credit card living from your own life, because the quicker you can get rid of easily accessible debt like credit cards or overdrafts, the more likely you can then start to spend your own money, which is the whole point. Because if you can spend your own money, then you'll be absolutely by default making sure you are not spending more than you have, because you don't have other people's money to spend, like the bank's money, okay? So that's the tip there, is to break up with that credit card, cut that thing up, almost protect yourself from easily accessible debt and start living by your own means. And as soon as you start to do that, introduce the idea of really budgeting the really simplistic and practical way. When you combine those two elements together, you will find that you start to see a bit more of a buffer in your own life and more of your own money remaining every single month. Check out that video I made recently below and above called 10 reasons why most people spend more money than they are making. I went really deep on that video, so check that one out if you haven't seen this already. Number 6 is the habit of normalizing debt. Now, you're probably thinking, what on earth am I talking about here? What I mean here is this idea, for example, of paying the minimums on your credit card bills every single month, okay? This is a very common thing, and it's becoming cultural actually to say that I'm paying the minimum, almost as though, you're kind of progressing by doing that. Not being funny, the fact that you're paying the minimum just shows that you have accepted debt as the norm in your own life, and that essentially makes you a slave, not being funny, a slave to a master out there, the lender. So what you want to be doing is really changing that mindset around living life with debt. Another good way this manifests in our day-to-day lives is when I hear people saying things like, don't pay off your mortgage. Oh, the interest rate's so low. Forget about that. Just, live with your mortgage and don't bother making overpayments, for example, which I find utterly ridiculous, because again, this is this idea of normalizing debt in our lives and it just becoming the normal thing to do. Your friend, for example, might have a debt of say £10,000, and immediately they speak to you about that and say they've got 10 grand, you start to compare yourself, the amount of debt you got to them, because you're essentially trying to find a way to justify the level of debt that you have in your own life. And this is becoming very normal, especially with my generation as millennials. We are starting to accept that living with debt is a thing to do. So the thing to do is to declare war on your debt. Debt is not your friend in any way, shape or form. Don't accept that thing into your household as the norm. Declare absolute war on your debt and work towards paying that thing back every single month. Make overpayments. Don't listen to anybody who says to you that you should not pay your mortgage off. Go ahead and pay your mortgage off. Don't listen to anybody who says to you pay the minimums on your credit card. Don't do that. Overpay that thing. But of course, make sure you are prioritizing your debt and paying off more expensive debt before you get to the more cheaper debt. Before you get to the more cheaper debt types, okay? I'll put a link below in the bar to the video I did on how we paid off our mortgage in 7 years. Watch that just for the ideas, just for the illustrations on how much of an impact making overpayments on your debt, for example, can have on your own life. Now, number 7 is slightly controversial, but I'm going to put it out there. It's the habit of relying on one income. Now, if you currently make an income from one source, right? Now, you know what I'm going to say, right? That is totally an outdated idea. It's either you are living life fearfully, or you are living life in a lazy way, or you are living life lacking a great deal of creativity. There are probably other reasons for why you are living on just one income. This is me assuming that your one income is not currently doing you justice from an expenses perspective. If you want to live life where you are a bit more comfortable, but you currently live life on one income, then you've really got to rip up this idea of living life on one income. That's such an outdated thing, okay? There's so many ideas out there that you can start to pursue, and a lot of being able to pursue these ideas is tied to almost getting rid of some of the habits I mentioned earlier around procrastination and around laziness and stuff like that. Because the more you start to hold these things hostage, the more you start to find your life outcomes start to look very, very differently. I'm going to put a link below to a video I did and above called 12 Best Side Hustle Ideas for Making Extra Income. Okay, check that video out just for some ideas. But the point here is that you've really got to accept that one income is just really unacceptable to you. And I never forget, actually, let me just share this perspective. I never forget when I was making this reflection for myself, and I was asking myself, like, I know I work as a professional and I make a really, really good income, but why on earth am I putting all my eggs into this one basket that is just my day job or my career? It just makes no sense. Then I started to look at my parents and think, well, how have they lived their lives? And I look at my mum and my dad. They took those steps over many years to make sure that they diversify their income. So sticking to one income and just living by that is a terrible, terrible thing, really terrible habit to kind of hang on to, because it just shows that, we're not taking or using the things that we have in our own lives to create opportunities in our own lives. You hear many people talking about the idea of multiple streams of income, but yet people just do not take the steps, even though we're living in a time where it's easier than ever before to make extra money thanks to the internet and thanks to the opportunities available out there in the world out there. Thanks to the internet and the many other opportunities available for making side income every day, available for making income on the side. Number 8 is the habit of not actually investing. Now, I said this one because there are so many people who talk about investing all the time. Oh, I'm going to do it. But when you dig deeper, these people might invest once. They might go and buy a share or something just to satisfy the fact that they've said they've invested money, but they haven't actually gone and made the steps of automating their investments and investing consistently every single month. There's absolutely no way you're going to be hitting those goals that you might have if you are not investing your money consistently every single month, because that's really the secret sauce. It's automating those investments and making sure those investments go out every single month consistently. Because what that then does is that it helps you adjust your lifestyle, because you would then get used to that amount going out every single month and being invested for you, and then you get used to living on what's left over. So I would say the pro tip here would be to automate your investments. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to do the investing thing, or maybe do it once, but actually take the steps to automate your investments, and you start to see a massive change in your life outcomes in the very near future. I'll put a link below and above to a video I did recently on how to start investing in the stock market as a beginner, step by step. Check that video out if you're new to investing. If this is something that you'd like to get into and start to do on a consistent basis, do feel free to watch that video and get started today. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed that video today. Please let me know in the comments what your current bad money habits are. You must surely have at least 1 or 2 bad money habits. please let me know in the comments. Feel free to talk about them. I'd be more than happy to jump in and let's just talk about these bad money habits and how we can get to move forward from them. If you really enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that like button, that thumbs up. That really helps us with the engagement on this channel and encourages other people to watch our videos. If you're new to our channel, make sure you do subscribe and make sure, more importantly, that you hit that bell sign, that notifications button that helps get you notified as soon as we publish videos on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to comment below like I mentioned, and I look forward to seeing you again on our next video. Take care and bye for now.